Hi, I'm Ben Sheeran, and in this video I'm going to walk you through a typical level 1 lesson for the Fluency course. So a typical class would look something like this for us. Now these times are not absolute. Often while running the class, the teacher needs to be keeping one eye on the clock so that they can adjust. So maybe make one activity a bit longer, maybe speed up another one, just to make sure you finish on time. So for us, a class is 60 minutes. This is a 60-minute class. I think it would be quite easy to modify the course for a shorter or slightly longer class. If you had a much longer class, you might need to supplement with some more materials. So it looks something like this. So the first 20 minutes or so, we're doing questions practice. And after that, 10 minutes using the workbooks. I think the workbooks speed up quite a bit as the students get used to the activity. So you'll find that will take less time as you go along. After that, we have a quick vocabulary quiz. And then we move on to the timed reading activity. Then after that, we have a dictation activity, which is new. Some of you, even if you're using the course, you might not have seen the dictation activity. And verbs as well. And then finally, we have a conversation segment. So I'm going to walk you through briefly each of these. And then in the future, I'll be making a video about each different type of activity, just to go through the details and variations and so on. So first, the question sheets. So the first 20 minutes of the class, we'll be working with the question sheets. So we use the same questions for one calendar month. So for 4 units. So week 1, we'll introduce the questions, we will check the meaning of the questions, and we will do read and repeat with the questions. The students might get to do the questions a little bit in pairs, maybe once or twice. The second week, we will review the questions, so do read and repeat again, and then we will have the students work in pairs. The third week, we'll have the students work in pairs independently. And then the fourth week, we'll try and have some kind of variation to keep it lively. But the idea is that the students are drilling these 20 questions over and over and over again. And by the end of it, they should have quite a good command of them, both on the asking and the answering sides. Next, we move on to the workbook. And the workbook actually has the same questions in. So this is, again, just reinforcement of the questions. So each unit has 5 questions, and over 4 units, we cover all 20 questions for that month. For the workbook, we basically do read and repeat of the left-hand side of the questions in English. And then on the right-hand side, students would copy the question and then they would write their own answer. So they wouldn't be copying the answers as written, but they would have to modify them so that they were correct for themselves. And the students only write the top line first. So they write the questions and one answer for each one. And then when they're finished, they get the teacher to check. And then for the rest of the time, they're going to be trying to write additional information. That's what that plus mark is for. We also added a new activity, and this is brand new. No one's seen this. This is the extra challenge activity. So of course, some students are going to finish much quicker than others. And for them, they can have a go at the extra challenge, which is a Japanese to English translation. The extra challenges are all taken from the previous week's writing. So it is possible to go back and have a look if they're not sure. Again, this feels like cheating, but actually they're just doing some extra study, which is good. After that, we go on to the textbooks. This is we're opening the textbooks at this point, and we're going to do a vocabulary test. Now, this vocabulary is largely taken from the reading passages, so from the timed reading. And in our school, at least, the students have previewed this vocabulary using Quizlet at home. So they've logged on to Quizlet using a smartphone or a computer. They've drilled the vocab and they've done a little test about it. And then in class, we're going to do it again. So the Fluency course is all about repetition. So we do the same words again and again and again in different contexts. And this helps the students learn them. Now, in the textbook, of course, these pages are on the front and back of a page. They're not facing. That would make it far too easy. So what we do is first we'll go to page 1 here, and we'll read and repeat the English only. And this is another chance for the students to quickly check the Japanese if they're not sure. Then we'll turn the page, give them a 2-minute timer, and they will try to write the Japanese for each item. It's fairly simple. It's just a chance to reinforce the meaning again before we read. Then we go on to the timed reading exercises. In a normal unit, so the first 3 units of a month, there are 3 texts the same length. The 4th unit is normally a triple length single text. So it's basically short, 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 long, right? And this is just to shake things up a bit and give students a chance to read slightly longer text, try and build up their stamina a little bit. Now, the first 4 units of textbook 1A are deliberately easier. The texts are shorter than the rest of the book. This is just to ease the students into the course. So the texts are super easy, so that as they're getting used to the activities, the content is fairly simple. So these first 4 units, the texts are 45 words long, but from the second month, so from unit 5, the texts are 60 words long, and then a few months later they move up to 80 words long, and then the last 4 months of the course the texts are 100 words long. So we're building up slowly. For the timed reading, I mean, I'm going to go into this in much more detail in another video, but basically the students are going to read. We give them timers here at Cambridge, so they time themselves, they read the text, record their time, and then they try and answer the questions. After they do that, we can then go back, read aloud, do pair reading, kind of check the comprehension, do all that kind of stuff. But the idea is to have them read silently and time themselves, try and build up their speed of reading there. Right, the last 2 activities are quite quick. This is the dictation and verbs activity. And the dictation, we do have suggested dictation items in the teacher book and on the class slides. But of course you can substitute your own as well for this activity. Basically the teacher reads 5 sentences slowly, the students try to write them in English, and then we check afterwards. And this is just a really nice kind of spelling, writing practice, listening practice here. And then following that, we have the verb quiz activity. Actually, sorry, before the dictation, we would read this verb list aloud and have the students repeat. Very mechanical, very kind of old school, but just that habit of reading the verb declensions helps them absorb a little bit. The first few weeks, we draw attention to the third person S and the fact that the past tense doesn't have the third person S. And hopefully they kind of internalize this over the year. Each week is a different verb, and they're all common verbs taken from the junior high school textbook. After the dictation, we'd give them maybe 2 minutes to have a go at some of the verbs. Now, this is deliberately designed to be too much to finish in two minutes. I think only 2 or 3 students have ever done that. But they can pick a section. The first section's the easiest and the last section's the hardest, and just have a go at that. We can check the answers using the verb answer sheets from the website. And the last section of the class is the conversation. So the way this is set up, and obviously you can make your own if you want to have different ones. There's some example conversations in the back of the book. A typical month, week 1, we'd do 1 conversation. Week 2, we'd do another conversation. Week 3, we have the students write their own original conversations, and this is quite fun. And then week 4, we would select the best student conversations, make a handout, and week 4 we would practice using the student generated conversations. This is really, really fun, and after the first couple of months the students really get better at this, and they try to write funny or interesting conversations, and it's really a good, nice part of the class. And that is a normal, typical level 1 class here at Cambridge English. Now, this is not the only way to do this. In fact, I've already heard from other schools. We only have half a dozen schools already using the Fluency course, but I've already heard that people are using it very differently. A very different lesson flow, lesson plan, and they even use these different sections differently. And I think that's fine. That's going to be a great part of having a community that's all using and sharing ideas about the course.